Creating comics, manga, and webtoons can be overwhelming. Comic artists are writers, pencilers, inkers, colorists, letterers, background illustrators, marketing agents, and social media managers all at the same time. It is no surprise that both beginners and professionals struggle to make sense of the ever-changing industry. There are so many hurdles you need to overcome to take that idea in your head and turn it into a physical book in somebody's hands. That is why we are going to talk about it today. But first, let's hear a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by The Protectors. Follow the journey of Marv, a young warrior whose parents are a part of a heroic group known as the Protectors. The Protectors have sworn to defend those in need across the galaxy. As Marv learns what it means to become a protector, he must confront his childhood insecurities head-on. Standing in his way is the Zento Empire, a group of ruthless mercenaries terrorizing the galaxy. Will Marv be able to change the tide of this bloody war? Everything begins here. The Protectors is now available for $4.99 on the Protectors.site. If you use coupon code MONITOR, you can save $1 on your purchase. If you are located outside of the United States, please send a direct message to the Protectors official Instagram to purchase issues 1 and 2. Links for all of that will be posted down in my description box below. Thank you to the Protectors for supporting the creative community. Now let's get back to today's video. It is important to remember that most manga tankobons have approximately 200 pages. This means that you have 200 pages of content to create for volume 1 of your story. If you are creating comic issues, the industry standard page count for Marvel and DC Comics is 32 pages, with 48 pages being reserved for special issues. If you are creating webcomics, the average panel count is often associated with your story's genre. For example, action webcomics tend to have 60 panels, romance webcomics tend to have 40 panels, and comedy webcomics tend to have 30 panels. These panel estimations were based off of top webtoon creators in their respective genre. Thinking in terms of volumes is a lot more manageable than thinking in terms of chapters. If you see yourself creating a long-running series like One Piece, creating over 1,000 chapters can feel really overwhelming. Instead, forget about everything that comes after volume 1. At least for right now, worrying about creating a satisfying reading experience in 200 pages should feel more doable. Obviously, you want to plan ahead as much as possible, so it is okay to roughly think about where the story is heading in future volumes. To make all of this even more simpler, most Shonen Jump Chapter 1s are between 45 and 60 pages, Chapter 2s are often between 20 and 25 pages, and Chapter 3s are usually between 19 and 21 pages. From Chapter 4 onward, most Shonen Jump chapters tend to be between 15 and 19 pages depending on the series. When you are planning, using outlines is essential. With outlines, you can efficiently plan out your story's introduction, climax, and resolution. You can also use outlines to roughly plan what story beats each volume needs to hit. Outlines are also great for roughly planning out the timeline of your story's events and what each chapter should cover to move your story forward. For some people, thinking about 200 pages might still feel overwhelming. If this sounds like you, consider thinking about your volume in terms of the 3-chapter rule. The 3-chapter rule states that before dropping a series, a reader should give it 3 chapters to hook them. If the story is unable to catch their interest in 3 chapters, then they will not continue reading it. While this may sound scary, it is actually a useful tool for writers. The 3-chapter rule highlights how important your first 3 chapters are in your story. Plus, you can always follow the average page count popularized by Shonen Jump. Your Chapter 1 could be 60 pages, your Chapter 2 could be 25 pages, and your Chapter 3 could be 20 pages. By the time you beat the 3-chapter rule, you will have 100 manga pages done. That is already half of your manga tankobon finished. This leaves about 100 pages left to worry about after you account for how many leftover pages your book will need. By leftover pages, I am referring to the front cover, back cover, blank pages, table of contents, and advertisements you see at the front and back of manga volumes. The goal for your manga volume should be to create a satisfying experience for your reader. Series like My Hero Academia, Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, and The Promised Neverland had exceptional debuts that set the tone for future installments. By creating suspense, relatable characters, and shocking plot twists, these 3 manga titles were able to establish a fan base right from the very beginning. Studying their success will allow you to realize what you need to have in your first volume to make it a success. Additionally, you need to pay attention to the conclusion of your volume, specifically around the 200-page mark where your volume will end. If you create an ongoing series weekly, monthly, or bi-monthly, it can be easy to forget about this cutoff point. You need to be aware of this section because it is the last part your reader will see. Don't let yourself fall into this common pitfall. Build a satisfying conclusion that doesn't feel rushed or misplaced. The last thing that you want is a reader who is confused about why your manga volume ended in the place that it did. You don't want to end your volume in the middle of a conversation. You also don't want to end your volume during a boring section of your story. Take advantage of cliffhangers, big reveals, and suspense to keep your reader on their toes. You should be working towards building up anticipation in your story, so as soon as they finish reading, they order your next book to find out what happens next. With that being said, I hope you were able to get some value out of this video. If you did, please leave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. Leave a comment down below telling us which manga volume had you hooked immediately. I will do my best to respond to every comment. Remember, you can further support me by following me on all my social media accounts or purchasing one of my Manga Maker panel template sets on Ko-fi. As always, keep creating everyone. I will see you all in the next one.